Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to Outraised Voices. If it's your first time here, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I thank you. I appreciate you. Today, we're diving into the topic of becoming a foster parent. Now, some of you might be considering it, and you probably have questions about bonding or time commitment or whether or not your family's suited for it or you're suited for it as a single parent or as a family. But one of the biggest concerns I hear is about attachment. You take a child in for months, maybe even years, and then it's time for them to leave. Whether it's through adoption or returning to their biological parent, which is the outcome that we hope children in care have, if at all possible. Now, understanding that letting go can be tough, but providing a child with a safe, supportive place to land, or giving a parent time to work through their issues, that has its own unique rewards. Our CEO today, Nicole Chang, an experienced foster parent, is here to address some of those concerns and more. So let's get started. Today's CEO is Nicole Jolene. Now let's talk a little bit. We're going to give you a little bio and introduction. Who is Nicole Jolene? Nicole Jolene was born in Jamaica and migrated to Canada at the age of 2 to be reunited with her parents. And everybody moved to, in case everybody's watching from all over the world, Nicole lives in Toronto, Canada. Nicole has been a foster parent for over 11 years and has lovingly cared for many children during that time. Nicole is passionate about fostering and is a counselor and coaches women to live their best lives. She is also the proud mother and foster mother of 6 children. Holy moly, let me say that. So, I guess to get into it, it says you are the proud mother of 6 children, including foster children. So what is the biological parent and foster children? What is how many foster children and how many biological children?
I have 4 biological children. I've adopted one, so he is mine. And I foster a little one, yes.
You foster little ones. Okay. Well, that's awesome. That's just awesome. So let's go back. Let's go way back. How does this begin? How does fostering children begin? Where does that come from?
Being Caribbean, we're so used to, I guess you can call kinship care. We wouldn't have known what that was, but you would take in an auntie's child or a friend's child. And I always grew up with my mom always having an open door policy to anyone's children. Sometimes they'd spend summers with me. And so it was normal for my family to open up to other families. We've had people living with us. And but what really had me fostering is, as a child, I used to watch programs where children were in great need. I would watch children in orphanages. I'd watch children who, they needed food and shelter. And I would always watch it, and I'd look at each child and I would say, oh, if I had that child, I would bathe them, I would do their hair, I would, all of these things. And growing up, I loved children, and, would work in nurseries at churches and stuff like that, just to help to care for children. So it became a natural part of me. I helped to take care of single mothers' children, just to give them a break. I started mentoring children who just needed some mentoring. And then one day I finally just said, I can do more. I can do more. I felt like, you'd spend that whole day with them, and then you just felt like I just want to tuck them into bed. I just want the just to like, say a story, a bedtime story, wake them up, and I realized like I can do more. And so when I met other foster parents, and it just seemed like they were all over the place now. It was like saying to me, you can do this. So I just started asking questions, made that phone call, and got more information. And, here I am, 11 plus years after fostering.
Wow. So did all of this insight, I want to do more, does that happen before you have your own children or during the
Well,
time?
yeah, I always had a desire to adopt a child.
Oh,
Always
okay.
from a child. I always said I would adopt a child. And it was just a desire that always remained.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was going to happen or not, it was just always there. Um, I didn't think of fostering as adoption, but uh, the desire was always there. That even if I have my own children, I have I have room for other children. So whichever way I can care for someone else's children, if I got to be the auntie to help someone out, I just wanted to help. That's all.
So you have this in mind, you're there, you're growing up like we grow up as little girls. We're growing up and we want to play with dolls and we want to dress them and we want to take care of them, but you are removed from that and you say, I see children, I see this flesh and blood, I see this need, I see this desire, and that grows into I want to do more. And to go
Yeah.
back to talk about West Indian families, from which I come from, that is a huge part of taking in children, family children. Kinship care is what that is called now. We didn't know that then. It was just, it takes a village to raise a village at that time, especially within the islands, and I'm sure within many places today it still exists. So here is Nicole. You go to school and you're in high school and you're thinking, what do I want to take when I go to post-secondary? Am I going to post-secondary? Do I want to be married? What do I want to do?
Well, to be honest, I do have a story. I actually just wanted to be a beautician, right? And I wanted to do hair and nails and all of these things. And I did go to hairdressing school and then later found out that's a lot of work. But I was very happy to have experienced it. Um, as a teenager, I was on a pretty good road of success. I was successfully as an athlete, um, and I had some hopes and dreams, not just to be a beautician, but I wanted to own salons, and I had this business concept, and then I kind of got distracted. And so
So
with that,
there's Nicole the entrepreneur. So we're here. Nicole the athlete. Nicole
yes.
goes to hairdressing school, and Nicole the entrepreneur.
Yes, those were my goals, and to assist and just do something great in life and be creative. I kind of got sidetracked, and so I became a teenage mom. So my first child, I actually had her at the age of 18. So it kind of, I mean, honestly, she did bring a lot of purpose to my life, and of course, because I loved children, I really threw myself into mothering her. I wasn't the one hipping her on, on the side and at the parties and stuff. I kind of put all that stuff aside. I really wanted to be a dedicated mom to her. But I also, and this helped me to foster, I also wanted to make sure that she's growing up in a way that she doesn't come off the focus of really pursuing her goals, not getting sidetracked. So I really devoted my time to teach her, to nurture her, to care for her no matter what age I was. I don't think anybody thought I was a teenage mom because the maturity level that came over me was like, oh, you're a mom now. And she has grown up to be such a successful young lady. But I also just thought about other children, especially the ones that I foster, especially the one their parents, that there's some things that might have happened in their life that comes around at a certain point. Like, some childhood traumas can come about causing them not to be able to parent the way they should. And that's where I feel like, you know what, I understand. And I felt like I had something to offer, not just the babies, not just the children, but the parents. I got to interact with the parents, and my thought of fostering is not just about caring for the children. It's trying to help to rehabilitate and bring some just healing in whichever way I can to the parents to say, hey, you could do this. I know that, the organization, they work with them, but just to let them know that I'm on your side. I'm not here to take over your children. I'm helping you and hoping that you'll take this time for yourself to heal so that you can get your little one back and you'll be in a much better place to parent. So my experiences did help me to foster others and to understand people on another level.
Well, it sounds like when I hear you talk, I hear the young girl who met her North Star, who really got to figure out who she was. So by the time your daughter came along, you were prepared. You were whatever was in the universe for you was there. You had taken that on at an earlier age, and like I said, saw your North Star, and it just the alignment I hear, and even understanding how to be an entrepreneur, how to, from an athletic point of view, because it takes discipline to be a very, very good athlete. By the way, what was your?
I played volleyball. I played basketball. I ran track. Relay was my what we were really good at. I love to work as a team. That's what I realized more than anything. I love team sports. When we had to do individual sports, I would choke up a little bit, but I was still successful. But yeah,
Wow,
track.
see that there it is. So team sports, that discipline, that understand, even going back and saying, yeah, which is similar to how I have always felt. I love to work in teams. I was in sports, basketball, volleyball as well. So I not great. I was just in it and I loved it. My passion was music and still is. So here we go. We're Nicole the entrepreneur, Nicole the mom. So now you're mom, you're foster mom. But I want to ask you, when did you decide after you had your daughter to actually start fostering?
So it was a few years in. So I was a stay-at-home mom with my next child, which is 10 years later after my first child. And I was married at the time. So I had 3 years apart and I was at home. And so while being at home, I was like, I'm taking care of these children. And I'm like, this is a perfect opportunity to foster, because I'm home, so I can offer a lot of time and energy and everything. So at the time, that was when I started fostering. Um, I really took it as this is my job, right? This is what I do, and that was I looked at it as a career, to be honest. It was my career of fostering these children. It was very exciting because you did work along with a team, and I did feel um, that I was a part of the professional team. I know some might think this is, oh, this is daycare or this is just babysitting. It is absolutely not. And I realized that my counseling background and the things that I learned would help me to bring a lot of understanding and awareness to the team. So I worked with professionals like the doctors, lawyers, and different social workers. And they would always turn to me and ask me, questions about the child. And they're like, they made you feel like you are the professional on this case. And I'm like, wow, this is great that what I have to say holds weight. And then I advocate, you know so then I was able to identify needs that the child had, even on emotional basis, and to be able to ask for more assistance in different areas to support them. Yeah.
So for foster parents who are looking to to foster, who are thinking about it and bringing in a child into an existing family, did you have any challenges with your own children and bringing in a foster
Yeah.
child?
You know what? My children, we move as a unit, really.
Oh, I love that.
And yeah, we are just a unified force. And at the time, just us girls, we had four daughters, so we would just kind of move together, and we knew exactly what to do. Who's going to get the baby bag? Who's going to get this? Who's going to do that?
You lost me somewhere. Four daughters. So I met the 10 years apart daughter,
Yeah.
and then you had another child. So the other two girls are
Are my biological children? Yes.
so you
Yes.
yeah, all right. So in the meantime, you now have four children.
And I would foster about three. So we added three. So it'd usually be two babies and a toddler
At a time, at the same time.
at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And it's not really, I first was going to just do one, but then it's like we were just so, it just gives you so much purpose.
Yes.
And honestly, I used to wake up when I used to do customer service and different jobs, and I used to dread Monday mornings. I used to dread it. And then with this, it just gave me so much purpose. I didn't dread Mondays anymore. It was like, had my calendar, had everything going. What are we going to do next? It gave me such a drive to help as much as I could. And my family, we were very all much on board with this. So my children weren't like, oh, how come? We worked it out really well. So instead of it being something negative, it turned out to be a positive because it taught my children empathy. It taught us teamwork. It taught us how to be committed, and just even knowing our roles and responsibilities. So it really taught them to be, I would say, just polished little young ladies, knowing their stuff, how to manage their life, their schoolwork. My daughters were in sports, different things that they had in their life. A business owner of cupcakes. I feel like it taught them to succeed. It taught them how to push themselves beyond themselves, and that's one of the major things that I wanted to teach my children is to live beyond yourself and your needs. Because if you sit down and you're just always about what I need, what I want, you become selfish, and you put blinders on your eyes, and you don't realize that there's a world of people out there that can use your help, your encouragement, your uplifting, and your skill and giftings. And that's what I wanted to teach them. So it didn't do anything negative. It did everything positive.
Oh, what a great mom you are.
I
I mean,
tried.
you're bringing children, you brought children into the world that have purpose and are one to one, one to many. How important is that? And we want our children to be that way, because the more we can bring that energy into the world, we have a better world. We just have a better world. So I appreciate you, and I think I can't say more about how awesome you are, but I really want to ask questions that potential foster parents might want to know about. So, what are the expectations of being between the children's services or those services? What are the expectations? And the next question after that, the biggest question is, how do you deal with the attachment issue?
Mhm.
So let's
Okay.
start with the expectations and how are you vetted to be a foster parent? How were you
Okay.
vetted?
Yes. Well, you have someone from recruitment that will call you once you put in your application. They come and they meet with you. And they just, ask you questions as to why would you want to foster, it's not even really what are your credentials, really. They want to see how you are as a person, number one, not looking for someone who's perfect. So when I share my stories, you know, um, of how I grew, any childhood trauma, you can share it or not share it. They look at it as a bonus because it is giving insight to what some of these children have gone through and even what the parents have gone through. So when someone thinks they're too broken to offer anything, no. Your broken pieces is really what helps you to nurture and minister to these children in a different way.
That's
So that
great.
was one of the things that yeah that they really loved, that I was very open. I'm not perfect. Um, Not to be judgmental uh, about this whole situation.
Does it
Um,
matter for you? Did it matter for you culturally in terms of what child you were given or?
Absolutely not. And someone said to me when they saw me, they're like, "You're the mother of nations," because I've had all nations, Chinese, Japanese, Italian, Spanish, uh, you know, and I realized, and I just got to put this little thing in here, that every child from every different race and culture needed the exact same thing. They needed love. They needed to be nourished, encouraged, taken care of. There was nothing different or separate from us. So those children don't see color at all. Every single one of those children turned around and called me mom. Now out in the
Mm,
road, when other races were confused,
yes,
but mom is just mom and mom is love. So that is a big thing. And then we'll go back to your question
the attachment.
of the attachment. Oh, so also the first one, when we're talking about the
Oh,
qualifications.
sorry. Yes, yes.
Yes, it's good to have education behind you. Of course it is. But they're not looking for you to have this big university degree or anything like that. They do need to know that you have a place. It doesn't have to be something that you own. You could be renting. They just need to know that there's a spot depending on the age. Babies, you just need your own bedroom. I think it's up until age 2, they can stay in their own bedroom as long as there's a crib. And if they're older, they have to have a room. So a lot of people don't realize that they have the space and they can do it. They think you have to have this big, huge bedroom home and you can do it. Also, you don't have to be married to do it. You
Hmm.
can be single. That's another question people have. Like, well, I'm single and I really want to be a foster parent. They want you. You're not any less, and they want you as well. So
Right.
those are major qualifications. And the most, I think this is one that is a must, is that you do have a clean record for criminal activity, right? So
Yes. Gosh, I hope
pardon.
so. Yeah.
So they
I
do,
hope so.
so that is a must. But I'm just giving you just the little details that people do ask, and they're actually shocked when I tell them that, yeah, you can foster too.
Yes, as a single parent. So the age range, just before we get into attachment, you've been with babies up to teenagers or
So my
preteens?
home is for 0 to 6.
Zero
um,
to six. Okay.
right? But I've been really in the, they kind of see which they want to put with you because they kind of see how well you do with that age group. So they kind of say, okay, we know you're 0 to 6, but we love you between 0 and like 3, the babies and the toddlers. That I can't take an older child, but that was the age range that I took. I have done, shorter care for a child that's older. But not in the, I'm not a teenage home. I'm a child, a baby to child home. Yes.
All right. Thank you for that. So let's go to attachment now, because that's a big one that people talk about. Because okay, you love this child, you bring this child into your home, at months, maybe years, uh, and then
And then you you
you
release them.
you release
Right.
them.
So I've had babies that I have actually had from birth. I was all that they had known. Yes, the first time you do it, some tears, you cry about it, but then
Yeah,
you think to yourself, the child was going back home, and you're like, every child, no matter what, they want to be with their
with their
parents,
parent.
right? so,
Yes, that's the
so that
objective.
made me that made me feel good, knowing that, what, they did the work, the parents did the work. um the child was safe. I did what I needed to do. And I look at it almost like an assignment. Your assignment has been completed. You can mourn for that moment and grieve for that moment, but I go into prep mode as, who's next? Who else needs help? And it helps to kind of, adjust your mind and your thinking
Yes, that's
to
what.
that. And you get excited now. Who's coming? Who's coming? Yeah, and you wait for that next call with excitement. But love and grief go together.
Yes,
If you're not fully loving anyone, I'm just talking anyone in your life, if you don't take that risk, knowing that when you love a person, that one day they'll be gone. And it could mean one day that they've passed on. One day maybe this, times have changed, and you moved on to a new season, your friends are gone. Whatever the circumstance is, you would not have truly loved if you don't know what grief feels like, right?
that's
And
very true.
so we learn to take care of our grief. We do get classes about grieving. And I am acquainted with grief from a child. I lost my brother at a very early age. He passed away from cancer.
Sorry to hear
So I
that.
understood grief. I understood grief at a young age. Lost a best friend. And so you kind of learn that grief is a part of life,
Life, yes.
part of life. We don't want to face it. But my thing is, let yourself go through the grief, let the tears wash, and you'll feel better. And you might not be the same, but you've evolved into a new person, and that new person could be even better. And so with each child, I've learned to be, I guess, to learn to love even more,
Mm-hmm.
be stronger in certain areas, know how to take care of my grief a little bit better. The attachment piece is one thing that I've learned with children. So when they move on, the major job that I have to do is to teach a baby or a toddler, if they have not learned attachment as a toddler, to teach them to attach. And people are like, but no, then you're going to get, no, I have to teach them to attach. Because if a child doesn't know how to attach to an adult or someone, when they move on in life, they don't have proper attachment to anything or anyone else.
That's right.
They will not have a proper attachment to a relationship later on, to a spouse, and it just keeps going from there. So for me, when a child comes to me in the very beginning, I do attachment by staring at them. We look at each other. Some children will look off to the side. They just can't even handle it. And so it's like, okay, when they're feeding them a bottle, they're very interested in their bottle. I look and I make sure we start to bond with our eyes. In a bath, those are times that you bond with them. Bath time, food time, bedtime and stuff like that. And so I established that bond immediately. And eventually I used to say, boy, children are something else. You mean I can care for my own child for 6 months, a year, and they will go and attach to someone else and literally almost forget that I existed. The way our brain is set up. And I realize that as their brain matures over, they can forget they even knew you. They will forget that they had even had any kind of, there'll be something like something's familiar, but when they look at you, because I've been through this, or I've had a child from birth, and she moved on, and I got to visit her. I said, I'm going to wait a year. She did not remember me at all, but she knew there was something that she liked about me, but she didn't remember me. That comforted me because I said she was not sitting there agonizing over me.
Yes,
A
yes,
child, and that's how that makes me also feel better with my grief, that that child now had the ability to attach to another person, get all their needs met from that other person, and now the memory of me kind of disappeared. And so that helps me with attachment. um I know a lot of people come to me and say, I don't know how you do it. I couldn't do it. I can't get rid of it. I couldn't get rid of my, I would be like, traumatized. um you can. You really can. My job, and I have like this, it's my own little thing. Number one, I receive them. Number two, I think about the rehabilitation that I need to do with them, whatever that might be. Number three, I try to restore whichever way them, parents, the relationship, restructuring. That's working with the team to help restructure some things for that child. Then the goal is reunification. That's the goal. And if I keep my mind on the goal, then I know my job is done. And then the last thing for me is release them. And that's it. It starts with receive and release. And that's where I need to be.
You know what? I was going to ask you, because we're coming to the end of this wonderful, and I don't want it to end, but what, what is the takeaway you want for potential parents or even foster parents who are in it and are, because not everybody is, of course, everybody's unique. Not everyone's like you or has that thought or way to involve themselves and to teach and to separate. And I think it's been very helpful for people who are already in it and saying, I don't really understand, or who are fresh at it. So what is your takeaway? What do you think what's your takeaway? Although you've given so much information, what is sort of the final, let's just get this final.
I always say to people that you do have the capacity within you to love, to give, and to sacrifice.
Right.
In whichever way that means. If it's for fostering, don't be afraid. You have the capacity to do it, and just go for it. If you don't feel that you have the ability to do the fostering part, do your part in society for children.
Yes.
You stop and look for a moment. You can always see that child who's a little bit shy, and you can pass by that child and say, hey, like, I know they don't want you to speak to strangers, but you can say some sort of encouragement, oh, your hair looks so pretty. You're doing a great job. Oh, I saw you on the monkey bar, and just keep it moving, right? There's children everywhere. Be the eyes as well. Be the eyes as well. Mm-hmm. Whether it's in the school system, everywhere you go, be an advocate for those children, yes. Right? And towards other people now.
Where were you when I needed you as a child? Where were you?
Be that auntie, be that mentor, be that encourager.
Bring the conversation.
Yes. Help parents around you, mothers around you,
yes.
Fathers around you, because there's single fathers out there, even just parents together. Give them an opportunity to go out together, just be a vital part of the society. Be kind to people, because I always say, you might see, say, a 50-year-old woman walking around looking great, but she's a wounded child.
That's right.
Wounded in every way. She might be sharp. There's attitudes, whatever it is that's manifesting. You don't have to light the fire with that person. You can find a way to be kind and see if you can also help to facilitate
Yes.
that change person, because this is something generational.
Yes. And I do say that about people. An unhealed child becomes an unhealed adult. You know, those scars look different, they're dressed up differently. We all have them. So
Yes.
reach out. Really didn't ask you about the child, your child
Mhm.
that you have now, because this is a whole other situation. And before, so I'll reverse that last question. This is not, this is another question, but your child has been in sick kids. Now, this is, tell me a little bit more about this particular child.
Yes. So this little one that came to me, I always say the phone call that comes to me, I want it to be directed to me, and that I know that this is the child that I need to take. So I always say, if this child is not the child I'm supposed to take, that phone call will go to someone else. So I got this phone call. I'd heard this little one is in sick kids, and really, we're not even sure if she's going to make it, but would you be willing to receive this child? And they gave me a little rundown at the time. Didn't seem like anything major. She needed to be nurtured and cared for and fed just like everyone else. So I said, okay. I went down to sick kids to visit her. She was 9 months at the time. And I would go there every day, and I would, do the whole let's look at you, let's establish that bond. And about the third or fourth day, she looked at me and started to caress my arm. I said, "Wow, here it is." Because there is that moment when it just clicks. And I said, "There it is. The bond has been established." Um, took her home. Uh, it was something just almost miraculous. As soon as I brought her home, she started laughing hysterically. The workers were all nervous because they're like, "Oh my gosh, we don't know, you know." And I sent them a video, and they're like, "Oh, she seems to be fine." I said, "Yes, she seems to be happy." Cared for her. And then there was a lot of appointments that came. With every appointment that I went to, it showed what else had a need, what else had a need. So there was all these specialists. And then I found out that she was basically special needs. She's nonverbal. Um, she's in a wheelchair, little petite thing. And that, cognitively, she's just like a baby. There are times where I do see her age come out because she can be mischievous and stuff, but
How old is she?
she's 7. She's 7. Yeah. So as these things began to unfold, I could have said, "Oh, this is too much. This is too much." But I promised myself and every child that comes through my house that I would love them. And I felt like if this child came to my home, that I have capacity to love her beyond all of her physical challenges and mental challenges. And I just said, I'm gonna go with this. Right. So as the years went on, many different medical challenges, many different physical challenges. I have, changed the steps to out the house for a ramp, and we just changed everything to be accessible for her. And that's when I realized, wait a minute, there are many other children who are in the same situation, and many other parents who are in the same situation. And accessibility for these children, it's very, very small. And that's when you become now more of an advocate, and you realize, these children need more than this. The parents need a lot. They need some respite. They need some tender, loving care. It's an emotional ride. When my little one, she's my daughter. I call her my daughter. Every child that comes in, I embrace them as my own child. And here's the sweet thing: is she's nonverbal, but she can say "mama," "mom," and she does it with purpose.
Is
So they're
there a,
like,
is there is there a thought that she will be taken from your home at some point, or is this a
yeah.
permanent?
At some point, her biological family is so her grand aunt and her aunt, and they are preparing for her. But as they also see the needs as well, we work together. So we work together as a team for her care. And I love that she's connected to family. So eventually, yes, she will. She will go. But what I love about how they look at my care, even the society looks at my care, is that I will now be considered kinship. So I will always have her in my life. And I will always be a help to her, because anybody who has her will need some sort of respite,
Yes,
because
yes.
it is difficult, right? So I can be that support to their family when they're ready to take her.
So when you go away, because I understand you've been away recently, who takes care of your beauty?
So um, it's either her biological aunt
Okay.
take her for me, and if she can't do it, my own adult children, because I have three adult children, daughters, they will take on the role for me. Um, so those are my two major supports, home and the aunt, to give me that respite
Respite,
that I
yes,
need.
that
So I
you
go
need.
fresh and I come back and
That's right, to
I'm ready to
replenish
go.
your juices, and not that you need replenishing of your love, but just the resource
Yeah.
to resource yourself. And
Yes.
how long do you see yourself doing this?
For fostering,
Fostering, yes.
yeah. Um, I don't have a start or a stop date. Yeah, I think as if life begins to change in a way where I feel like I'm not capable, not physically capable, but not capable to give the care or the level of care that a child needs, then I will know that I need to step back. And I might step back in a different role, like just being a respite
Hmm.
uh, or other foster parents, to someone always kind of be in this society in some way, shape, or form. But I always say, like, if I can't offer that care, if I know, like, oh, maybe I'm doing more business and I'm just giving them my bare minimum, that's not me, that's not fostering. I don't want to give a child my bare minimum. I want to
Right.
be able to give them, all of me
That's
as
right.
much as I can. Yeah.
Well, Nicole, you have just been the epitome of CEO, conversation, education, and outreach for Outraised Voices. And for the audience, I'm sure there'll be tons of questions when this show is aired, and just people will gain so much insight from this that I hope you let us invite you back,
Absolutely.
and we can have an extended conversation, maybe have another parent who could use your advice, and that would be fantastic. I so appreciate you coming on today, and as an adult foster alumna, whatever it is you say,
Yeah.
I am it makes me so happy to see there are people like yourself out there with this, and I know there are, but it makes me so happy to see that children are finding safe places to land and become and grow from, and find just to be in their own heart and soul, and whatever length of time that is, if it's days, months, years, and you are just wonderful.
Oh, thank
So
you.
I'll stop gushing now,
Uh,
uh, but I want to say thank you. But before we go, where can people find you? Where would you like to be reached?
know what? They can actually just email me. I'm really good with email, and then we can connect on a more intimate basis if it's telephone. But my email address is njc.counseling@gmail.com. And counseling is with two L's.
With two L's,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. So if they want to email me, then we can set up something where it's more personal, where I can either talk or even meet up. I'm very open. want to see people live their best lives. And I'm an advocate that if they want to foster, let's get you on board. We need you. We do need you.
Yeah, and we need you. So every voice matters. We need the voices, we need the energy, we need you, and we appreciate you. So thank you very much for being here today on Outraised Voices. I thank you. And thank you for living your best life.
Yes. Thank you.
So if you enjoyed this episode, I would really love to hear from you. Email me at info@outraisedvoices.com or Sharon Lee Williams @outraisedvoices.com. Who knows? On a future episode, you could be the CEO. Remember, your voice matters.